Today our lesson is on the order of operations. If you haven't already printed the video guide, go ahead and pause the video, print the video guide, and then come back and do the examples with me. Now, the order of operations is for problems that have more than one operation or symbol in the problem. By symbol, I mean like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponents, parentheses, things like that. Okay, any of those would be considered a symbol, and so if you have more than one of those, you need to use the order of operations. Now, some of you might have heard the expression, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." All right, this is just a way of remembering the order of operations. So if you've already heard that, that's great. That'll help you remember the order. The P for please represents parentheses. Okay, P stands for parentheses, which means if you have parentheses in the problem, you have to do that first. Okay, so that's the first thing you look for. You have to complete all operations inside of the parentheses before you can move on to anything else. Excuse me. The next word is excuse. Starts with an E. The E stands for exponents. Now, exponents are those small numbers in the upper right corner. Like if you have, let's say, 3 to the second power, the 2 would be considered the exponent, and it just means that you multiply the large number by itself that many times. So this would mean 3 times 3, which is 9. So exponents come second. You must get rid of all parentheses first, and then once the parentheses are gone, then you do the exponents. After excuse, we have please excuse, we have my, M, okay? The M represents multiplication. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the fourth letter as well. Dear, we have D, and that's division. Now, the reason why I want to talk about these together is that multiplication and division are what we call equal in importance, okay? Which means you do whichever one comes first in the problem from left to right. Left to right. Okay, this is our third step. Okay, get rid of all the parentheses, then get rid of all the exponents, then do multiplication and division. Again, they can be flip-flopped. You do whichever one comes first in the problem from left to right. They are of equal importance, so M and D can be switched. The next one, A, for aunt, stands for addition. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about addition and our last letter, which you probably guessed, Sally, S, stands for subtraction. Now, the reason why I'm talking about them together is because they're very similar to multiplying and dividing. Addition and subtraction are of equal importance, all right? So just like multiplication and division, you work them from left to right. So whichever one comes first in the problem, that's the one that you do first. So get rid of all parentheses, then get rid of the exponents. After that, do all multiplication and division. Once that's gone, then you can do addition and subtraction. Adding and subtracting is always last. At this time, we're going to go ahead and do problem number 1 and actually work through the order of operations, and I think that'll help you understand the order a lot better. Before we take a look at problem number 1, I want to go ahead and talk about these letters. I put them at the top, that way we could remember the order of operations while we're doing the problem. Remember, parentheses comes first, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 here. Get rid of all parentheses first. After parentheses, exponents. So I'm going to put a 2 with that. Okay, get rid of all exponents at that point. Now you'll notice I put multiplying and dividing one on top of the other. Remember, they're of equal importance, so you work them from left to right. So multiplying and dividing can be flip-flopped. So both of these are the third section. And then lastly, we have adding and subtracting, that's 4. And again, they're of equal importance, so they can be flip-flopped. Okay, so let's take a look at problem number 1. For problem number 1, we have -2 plus 21 divided by, then we have parentheses, 7 plus 4 minus 8, and the parentheses. So for this problem, first step, look for any parentheses. Well, we already noticed here at the end we have some parentheses, which means this first part does not get changed yet, okay? Because it's not in the parentheses, it doesn't get done first. So I'm going to leave it exactly the same. -2 plus 21 divided by, that's staying exactly the same. Now, inside the parentheses, you still have to follow the order of operations. So, in the parentheses, we have addition and subtraction. Well, addition and subtraction are of equal importance, so we just do whatever comes first in the parentheses. 7 plus 4 comes first from left to right, so we do the 7 plus 4 first, which is 11. The -8 stays the same. Now you'll notice I left this in parentheses because we haven't done all the operations in the parentheses yet. Once you do all the operations, then you can get rid of the parentheses. So, next step, still not done with parentheses, so I still go to my parentheses, which means my -2 plus 21 divided by, that all stays the same. Now we can do the parentheses. There's only subtraction, so that's all I can do. 11 minus 8 is 3, so 3 comes down. At this point, all of our parentheses are gone. I don't need it anymore because I've done all of the operations, so I'm done with that first section. Next, we're supposed to do any exponents. Well, looking at my problem, there are no exponents, so I can skip that step. Move on to multiplying and dividing. Well, I have addition here and division here. Division comes before addition, so I need to divide 21 by 3. That means my -2 stays the same, plus 21 divided by 3 is +7. So 7 comes down in that spot. And last, the only thing I have left is addition. So I can now do my addition. -2 plus 7 is a +5. Remember, if the signs are different, we subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. So it's going to be a +5, and that's our answer for number 1. For problem number 2, we have -5 times -6 minus, and then in parentheses, 4 squared plus 5. We need to follow the order of operations to do this problem. So the first thing we need to do is parentheses, always parentheses. So looking through our problem, we do have parentheses here at the end, so this is what we need to do first. Now remember, inside the parentheses, you still have to follow the order of operations. So inside the parentheses, I have an exponent and addition. Exponents come before addition in the order of operations, so I need to do my exponent first. My -5 times -6 minus will stay the same. After that, I need to do 4 squared. So 4 to the second power means 4 times 4, which is 16. So I have 16 plus 5. I'm going to leave this in parentheses because I haven't done the addition yet. So I'm going to keep it just like this. Now, following the order of operations, I still need to do parentheses because I haven't finished all of the operations inside the parentheses yet. So I need to do my addition. My -5 times -6 stays the same. 16 plus 5 is 21, so I put 21 here. I don't put the parentheses anymore because I've done all of the operations at this point that were inside the parentheses. So that's complete. After parentheses comes exponents. Looking at this problem, there are no exponents. So I move to the next step, multiplication and division. Now, I don't have any division in this problem, but I do have multiplication. So I need to go ahead and multiply next. -5 times -6. The signs are the same, so when you multiply them, you will get +30. So +30, and then the -21 just comes down. All I have left is subtraction, so I go ahead and subtract. 30 minus 21 is +9. So 9 is the answer for number 2. For problem number 3, we have -7 times 4 plus 10 minus 9 divided by parentheses 6 minus 3. This is a pretty long problem, so it's really important that we make sure we follow these order of operations so we can get the correct answer. So our first step is to look for parentheses. Looking at our problem, we have parentheses here at the end. Even though it's at the end of the problem, we still have to do it first because that's what the order of operations tells us. So my negative 7 times 4 plus 10 minus 9 divided by, all of that stays the same. The only part I'm going to change is this set of parentheses. Inside the parentheses, all we have is 6 minus 3, which means I need to do the 6 minus 3 first. 6 minus 3 is 3. Now, I'm not going to put this in parentheses anymore because I've done all of the operations that were inside of the parentheses. So now I take a look and I've done all parentheses. There's no more in here. I look for exponents. Looking for exponents in this problem, we don't have any, so I don't need to do exponents. After that, I'm supposed to do multiplication and division. Now remember, they are of equal importance, so you do whichever one comes first in the problem. Looking here, I have multiply and divide. Multiplication comes first, so that's what I need to do first. Always go from left to right. So do the multiplication. Negative 7 times 4. The signs are different, so we will get negative 28. We are going to keep the rest of the problem exactly the same. So plus 10 minus 9 divided by 3. All of that stays the same. Still on step 3 because I have some division I need to do, okay? My multiplication is finished. Now I need to divide. So this first part of the problem, negative 28 plus 10 minus, that stays the same. I need to divide 9 divided by 3, which is 3. So I just put 3 here in my problem. All right, all multiplication and division has been completed. So I move on to addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction, remember, they are of equal importance, so you do them in order from left to right. Negative 28 plus 10 comes first in the problem, so that's what I'm going to do first. Negative 28 plus 10, the signs are different, so even though it says plus 10, you actually subtract the two numbers because they have different signs. So 28 minus 10 is 18, and it will be negative because you have to keep the sign of the bigger number, so it's negative 18. The minus 3 we have not done yet, so bring that down. I have negative 18 minus 3. Now, when we're subtracting and we have integers, it's really helpful to change the subtraction to addition, just like we've learned in previous lessons. So instead of minus 3, I'm going to make this plus negative 3. Negative 18 plus negative 3, I can work that out a little bit easier. I can tell, oh, these have the same sign, so I actually add the two together. That's 21. And I keep the sign of the bigger number. 18 is bigger, so it's negative 21. So negative 21 is my answer for problem number 3. For problem number 4, we have parentheses 5 times 3, and then we end the parentheses divided by another set of parentheses, negative 2 minus 8 plus 6 minus negative 9. Now, when you have two sets of parentheses, you work it from left to right. Do the first set of parentheses first, and then the second set of parentheses. So we're going to start over here with our first set of parentheses. All that we have in this first set of parentheses is multiplication. So that's all I need to do is the 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15, so this becomes 15. Everything else in my problem stays the same. So divided by parentheses, negative 2 minus 8 plus 6 minus negative 9. Now that we've completed the first set of parentheses, we must do the second set of parentheses. Now there are 3 different operations going on in this set of parentheses. You have to follow the order of operations even for inside the parentheses. So if we take a look, there's subtraction, addition, and more subtraction. Well, all I have is addition and subtraction. Remember, they are of equal importance, which means do whatever comes first in the problem. My 15 and my division sign will stay the same because that's not in the parentheses. Here, even though negative 2 minus 8, that's subtraction, we still do it first because adding and subtracting are of equal importance. So remember, for subtraction, it really is helpful to change it to adding the opposite, especially when you have integers involved, negatives, positives and negatives. So -2, instead of -8, I'm going to make this plus -8. So -2 plus -8, the signs are the same, so I add them together, keep the sign of the bigger number, -10. My plus 6 and my minus -9 stays the same. You'll notice I still kept this in parentheses because I haven't done all the operations yet. At this point, I'm still in the parentheses because I haven't completed it yet. Addition comes first in the parentheses, so that's what I'm going to do first. My 15 and my division sign will stay the same because it's outside the parentheses. I'm going to do -10 plus 6. The signs are different, so we actually subtract. Remember, don't just pay attention to the sign in between. Make sure you know if they are either both positive, both negative, or one's positive and one's negative. In this case, we have one negative, one positive, so we subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. Keep the sign of the bigger number, so it's a -4. The minus -9 comes down. Haven't done it yet, so we keep it in parentheses because I haven't done all the operations yet. This one takes a little while to get rid of the parentheses. That's okay. At this point, still do the parentheses. All that I have left is the subtraction. So my 15 and my division sign will stay the same. Change subtraction to adding the opposite. So instead of subtract, make it add. Instead of -9, make it +9. -4 plus 9 is a +5. So 5 comes down. I don't need parentheses anymore because finally we've done all of the operations. So my last step is 15 divided by 5, which is 3. So our answer for number 4 is +3. For problem number 5, we actually have a little different situation. You'll notice we have 2 sets of parentheses here. So I have a parentheses inside a set of parentheses with the -1 plus 5. And then outside of that smaller set of parentheses, we have times 2 minus 6. Then close the big set of parentheses divided by -2 minus 9 times -7. So a lot going on. Whenever you have 2 sets of parentheses, one inside of the other, you always do the inner set of parentheses first. So that means the -1 plus 5 comes first in our problem. The big set of parentheses stays. -1 plus 5. The signs are different, so I subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number. So it's 4. +4. My times 2 minus 6 just comes down. Now, I keep that inside the bigger set of parentheses because I haven't done all of the operations yet, the multiplication and subtraction. Now, outside the parentheses also stays the same. So, divide by -2 minus 9 times -7. Just bring it all down. After that, I still need to do my parentheses. Now, inside the parentheses, we have multiplication and subtraction. Multiplication comes before subtraction in the order of operations, so I need to multiply first. 4 times 2 is 8. The -6 just comes down. And then my division sign, -2 minus 9 times -7, all stays the same. At this point, I still need to keep it in parentheses because I haven't done all of the operations yet. I haven't done the subtraction. So we go back to the parentheses, and that's what we do next. 8 minus 6 is 2. I no longer need the parentheses because I've done all of the operations now. My divide by -2 minus 9 times -7. That all just comes down exactly the same. The next thing we're supposed to do are exponents. Looking at our problem though, there are no exponents, so I can move on to multiplication and division. Now I actually have both. I have multiplication here, division here. Remember, they are of equal importance, so you do whichever one comes first in the problem. Division. 2 divided by -2 is -1 minus 9 times -7. Everything else stays the same. At this point, I have subtraction and multiplication. Multiplication comes before subtraction, so I'm going to multiply. my -1 and my minus sign stay the same. 9 times -7 is -63. Because the signs are different, it has to be negative. All that I have left now is subtraction, so that's what I do next. Remember, when you're subtracting integers, it really is helpful to change subtraction to addition. So instead of subtract, let's make it add, but you have to change the sign of the second number. So it becomes positive 63. My signs are now different, so I can tell, oh, I'm actually supposed to subtract these. 63 minus 1 is 62. Keep the sign of the bigger number. The 63 is bigger, so it's going to be positive 62. And that's our answer for problem number 5. At this point, go ahead and pause the video, do number 6 on your own, and then come back and check your answer. For problem number 6, we have 10 divided by, parentheses, 5 plus -5 minus 5, and that set of parentheses plus a new set of parentheses, 5 times -1, and the parentheses with an exponent of 2 on the outside. Remember, when you have two sets of parentheses, one next to another one, always do the first set of parentheses first. So my 10 and my division sign stayed the same. I combined the 5 plus -5, got 0. The -5 stayed the same. I kept it in parentheses because I haven't done all the operations yet. And then I kept everything else the same as well. I still needed to complete the first set of parentheses. So the next thing I did was 0 minus 5. So I got 10 divided by -5. 0 minus 5 is -5. I kept everything else the same. At this point, I can do my second set of parentheses. And inside of that, I have multiplication. So my 10 divided by -5 stayed the same, plus 5 times -1 is -5. Now I left that in parentheses because I still need to take it to the second power, okay? Now the exponent is actually outside of those parentheses, so that's why I multiplied before I did the exponent. Now I can do the exponent. So 10 divided by -5 plus -5 times -5. This is how you would write it. Negative times a negative is a positive, and it's a positive 25. After that, all I have left is division and addition. Division comes first before addition, so divide. 10 divided by -5 is -2, and then put plus 25, and -2 plus 25 is 23. So your answer for number 6 should be positive 23, and that's the end of our video on the order of operations.